What's going on, everyone? Unofficial MCU here. Hope you're all doing well, and in today's video we have the full breakdown to Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 2. Let's get right into it. Clearly there's spoilers to this episode, so click off now if you haven't seen it. The same way WandaVision episode 3 kind of went, this is kind of what this episode did. Episode 1 kind of sets up where we are with this whole thing, and then furthermore we go on, and this episode really does furthermore expand onto the whole story of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Much like we see with WandaVision episode 3, we actually get an understanding of what's going on and seeing a story actually begin to develop and carry on. So the question is asked then, what is exactly going on, and who is Isiah Bradley, and what is Zemo up to? And my biggest question is John Walker going to be a threat? And also the question poses of the Flag Smashers and what they're up to and who's going to stop them and what the plan is for that. So starting off in this episode, we get to see a little more further in depth of John Walker and who he exactly is, and a little bit of a backstory to him as well. So who exactly is John Walker? I kind of explained for the most part on who John Walker is in most of the comics in the last episode breakdown here on the channel. You guys can go check that out, but we do actually get some expansion on his character and who he exactly is within the MCU and the movies and the shows, rather than just the comics. The show does quite a good job at building up his character and kind of showing expression and emotion to his character and making us want to feel sorry for him almost, and putting ourselves in his shoes until that last line he says at the end of the episode, which makes everyone hate him and just immediately regret all of those other decisions and emotions that they actually felt towards his character. And a big congratulations to him, because now he's going to get his ass kicked by Falcon and Bucky. None to say the less, Battlestar and John Walker are kind of interesting characters on where they pose, because they had the decision to actually be good guys and bad guys, alright? And the road that they do seem to be going down is bad guys. Furthermore, I am seeing repeated themes that we saw within Captain America Civil War, with the government kind of coming into an association, seeing what these heroes can and cannot do, as in what they can get away with and what they cannot get away with, which is simply just setting up kind of boundaries on what they can and cannot do. So after we see Falcon and Bucky get kicked and beat up by the Flag Smashers there, we do have John Walker and Battlestar and the kind of government team there come into the rescue and kind of help them out. We kind of get to see them work through the situations and how they would actually go about the situation as well. And furthermore, after that whole situation, they also try to reach out to Bucky and Sam as well. Something we kind of learned in the first episode, however, is that the Flag Smashers are kind of superheroes and like superhuman, super serum type of soldiers, which will bring me to my next point, but we'll get there in just a moment. Not only with kind of certain themes that we do see in WandaVision, but now that we are seeing in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it almost feels like they are setting up for Civil War 2, which is a comic that does happen between Tony Stark and Captain Marvel. So I'm pretty curious to see what they are going to do with Captain Marvel 2. Especially seeing that Monica Rambeau is a likable character now, and that she will be in that movie. So moving on with the Flag Smashers, Bucky and Sam are faced with an issue of super soldiers against super soldiers. So this is where Isiah Bradley, a really interesting character, does come into play. We know in the comics that John Walker is kind of a super soldier that has the super serum, but not so much in the actual show here. He doesn't really seem to have the serum, and is really just kind of meant to be a regular soldier almost. Furthermore, something that I wasn't really expecting is that they went on to give him an actual purpose and meaning rather than just being a symbol. I thought he was just going to be a guy that wears a suit and kind of walks around and is kind of a symbol to who Captain America is and was, but rather than that, they actually do use him for military special ops and that type of thing. So the whole idea of why Bucky and Sam went to Isiah Bradley was because of they needed more super soldiers and more people like him. It's super soldiers against super soldiers is what they are trying to go for, and they are clearly outmatched. So my gander on this whole thing is that Sam was going for super soldiers on super soldiers and was even trying to assemble a team here, much like the Avengers almost. A little backstory here on Isiah Bradley though, however, is that he was a African-American soldier that was tested on and used to find what serum was used on Captain America. So taking place after Captain America being frozen in the ice and after World War II, Isiah Bradley, along with over 300 other African Americans, were used to kind of be tested on as guinea pigs and used to find what serum was used on Steve Rogers. Of course, leaving a little bit of a time gap there between World War II and where we are then. It goes into more depth of what actually does happen in the comics, and that is that after being the only one that does survive the testing and actually gets the serum and the super soldier serum, they actually do send him behind enemy lines to go fight Bucky. So my whole gander on this type of thing is that this is all taking place during the 90s when Bucky was being used by Hydra in order to just do assassinations and that type of thing. Furthermore, onto that, the government, the United States government, wanted to put a stop to that, bringing Isiah Bradley into the whole spectrum of things and wanting to stop the Winter Soldier there. Which then, furthermore, he does succeed in, as we does hear this little bit of a tale and story that he rips off half of Bucky's arm, meaning that he's more stronger than the Winter Soldier. Which, to put perspective on things, if you've seen the Winter Soldier, Captain America 2, we see that Bucky Barnes is an absolute beast and seems unstoppable at times. Same thing for Captain America Civil War. He's quite literally just a pure killing machine. So that goes furthermore to say a lot about who and what Isiah Bradley could have been and was. Another thing I wanted to point out on this whole serum thing is that it does cause a lot of trauma to the people and individuals that it was used on, including Bucky and Isiah and even Steve Rogers. So then with the whole idea of Isiah Bradley being turned down, I'm not saying that the possibility could have still happened. It still could happen, and knowing that his son was there, who actually does become the Patriot in the comics, he's a younger Avenger pretty much, he is going to have that serum, seeing that he's kind of the offspring of Isiah Bradley. He does kind of become a super soldier Captain America in the comics, and probably will do the same thing here later in the show. It really does seem that this whole phase of Marvel is setting up for the young Avengers, seeing in WandaVision her kids, as well as what's going on in the Hawkeye show, and now in this show, kind of. Something I'd rather want to go into more depth in a separate video rather than this video, because it's just kind of like a breakdown to the overall episode, is what we do see with the whole black culture and African American culture going on here in this episode, between Sam and Bucky being stopped by the police for absolutely no reason, and then the super soldier Isiah Bradley being tested on, and hearing his whole story and backstory to that really does bring out a lot of the African American culture into what is playing out in kind of the real world and even the Marvel world here. Personally, it's something I am glad that they are bringing awareness to and kind of speaking on it. The whole idea of that also plays onto John Walker, the new Captain America, and why Sam Wilson didn't want to bring on this whole mantle of Captain America. Anyway, like I said, I'd love to go more in depth to that in a separate video, of course. So to kind of finish off and wrap up this whole breakdown video, after being turned down by Isiah Bradley, I'm not saying that he could appear in other episodes of this show, but for now it doesn't seem like he will, and he seems a little too old to anyway. Bucky and Sam then go on with the idea and agree to meet up with Zemo and see what he can do, as he was the one that kind of crashed the Avengers and really brought down the overall downfall of them in Civil War. So it's just kind of like a little side note there of something that we are going to see in this next upcoming episode here, and what he actually really did in that past trauma of the Avengers and what he really brought them to be. And then one last side note I wanted to point out, sorry for this, but you know, us Star Wars nerds have to, you know, point out these small things. The same cell that Zemo is being held in is the same cell in A New Hope that Princess Leia is being held in on the Death Star, which is cell number 2187. So just a little side note there. If you guys are into Star Wars, definitely check out Unofficial Star Wars Instagram and YouTube for Star Wars content from me. Anyway, that does wrap up today's video and this whole overall breakdown. Go comment down below what you guys thought about this episode 2, and if there's anything that I may have missed. Leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it, as it really does help out the channel, and while you're down there, subscribe to stick around for future videos and content. Check out our Instagram, Unofficial MCU, and until next time, peace out.